Alrighty, welcome everybody to another Ball Knower podcast team preview. Today, as you can tell by the backgrounds of the people to my left and right, we're covering one of my least favorite teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I am joined today by Celia, who has been on the podcast before. We've got Hunter to my right, also known as SteelCityRepping. Down to the bottom left, his camera's being a little goofy right now. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, UrinatingTree. And then down to my right, the bottom right here, we've got my guy, Jeff. So how are we doing today, guys?
Doing good, man.
I'm great. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, all right, how do we want to start this? What do we want to cover first? I know you guys, before we started, we're getting pretty antsy about talking about Watson. If we want to start there, I suppose we can.
Oh, yeah. My absolute least favorite human in the entire world right now. I think last I had heard, it's going to be a minimum 1 year suspension. Yeah. I don't know if you've heard anything differently on that front. I personally believe he is a monster, but
I definitely agree.
Yeah, I don't think there's.
I really hope he doesn't get all that money that he's guaranteed.
Well, I know for the first year, and they made sure, like, for the first year, he only got $1 million in base salary, so it took out of that suspension. Mm-hmm. So he still gets a good chunk of that money if he plays.
Right.
Remember, he also got paid around $10 million to not play last year. So.
Yeah. Which is just so disgusting.
I mean, besides just how much money he's making, which is absolutely atrocious, I personally love, from a Steeler fan perspective, is how much this whole situation burned bridges with Baker Mayfield, with the Browns organization, just screwed them. Because this is a ton of money that now the organization lost, and now they don't have a good quarterback. I mean, they never really did with Baker Mayfield anyway. But this really a kind of. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Josh Dobbs, baby, Josh Dobbs.
Is he in Cleveland?
Oh, right. You're right.
Yeah, he went there.
They're God.
Yeah.
That's worse than I thought.
I like Josh Dobbs. That kind of hurt me.
No, he's a good dude, generally.
Him. Yeah. I was going to follow him off Instagram, but I was like, I'll allow it. He's just so nice.
I was so excited for that pick when that happened.
That's true. That's true. All right. Let's slander Steelers quarterbacks for a minute. You guys are not in the best spot right now, obviously. I've got listen.
I mean,
we have talent.
I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I'll take what we're having this year over last year's Ben. It was depressing.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Bad.
That's fair. But you're going from like garbage to slightly better looking garbage.
No, that's unfair.
I don't think so.
Hey,
depends on if Pickett plays. I'll put it that way.
Don't
depends on if
Kenny Pickett.
Plays.
That man was a legend.
Okay.
He's going to throw spirals. And Mitch Trubisky, I mean, he'll probably be like Ryan Tannehill in this offense. But it's better than what Ben was offering last year.
That's fair.
I think we're going to have Mitch Trubisky start for a couple of games and it's going to switch to Kenny Pickett. That's my original assumption. I think it's going to happen. We have so much talent now that I don't think we've had in the past 5 years. I mean, my personal opinion on this is Ben Roethlisberger should have retired years ago.
He should have retired back in 19.
He's a strong guy.
Yeah.
He should have. And because he didn't, it kind of suffered as an organization. We had a lot of our favorite guys step down, and I'm really excited. I don't think we are Super Bowl material just yet. I mean, obviously anything can happen any given Sunday, but I'm really excited about the future. I think we had a great draft. I'm really excited about what we have now. I really liked seeing the run game last season really improve. I'm feeling like we're going in a big direction, but it's not even just what I expect for the upcoming season, but it's how are we going to fight in our division? Because I had canceled the Bengals out entirely the first season there was Joey Burrow because he got injured. Their offense was terrible. And I was like, it's fine. It's always going to be the Steelers. But now I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, I mean, you have every reason to be. If Watson doesn't play, which I think we're all banking on, I don't see Pittsburgh finishing higher than third in that division, which, I mean, is a step up from what I originally thought.
I got second.
Over who?
I really.
It's got to be second. It's got to be the
Bengals. How healthy Baltimore is. To be honest with you, Baltimore was injured to hell and back.
Yeah.
So I think if they at least get some of their guys back, I think they'll at least split the series with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I think the Steelers are like the hardest team in the NFL to predict as far as a record's concerned, because
that's fair.
I mean, we all expected the Steelers to be terrible, and they somehow fluked their way to at least 4 or 5 wins. Like randomly, like it would be like, oh, there's a big interception on the play. Oh, well, there's a flag. It's coming back. Steeler ball. Or we play guys without their top quarterbacks or running backs, or like you'd have random teams collapse, like Jarvis Landry with the Browns in Cleveland, or you had the Titans just straight up collapse. It's just like, oh my god.
Or you had
Vikings and Chargers nearly did it too.
Yeah. And you had a game where the referee hip checked the Bears player and kind of gave you guys that game.
Oh yeah, that was that. They should have won that game easily.
All right, I'm glad.
I mean, as a fan of football, I was outraged.
Yeah, it was bad, but I mean, it's not like it fucking mattered.
Yeah, I mean, it was the reason Steelers got in the playoffs. If you want to be technical.
Yeah, well. Okay, fair. That's true. So, fuck NFL referees for letting Pittsburgh get to the playoffs last year.
Yeah, we could have had the Chargers or the Colts, and we have the Steelers getting dick stomped by the Chiefs. Yeah. I was literally thinking they were going to BS their way to a win once TJ Watt got that defensive touchdown. I'm like, oh my god, it's happening.
I had myself convinced. I watched that touchdown, and I was like, dude, it's going to happen. And then, 42 points later.
Yeah, and then once Travis Kelce got that touchdown before half, I'm like, fuck.
It got so ugly. So
it's like, oh god, well, time to go to bed.
Yeah, it started going downhill real quick, and then it was just like, well, I wonder how next year's going to be. I can't wait for the offseason, and it wasn't even halftime yet.
Yeah. And then Najee had his first fumble, like literally at the worst time. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, that was rough.
That was rough.
Didn't they literally call that though? They were like, "Oh, Najee hasn't fumbled all season."
Yeah, that's how they do it.
He fumbles. I was like, "Are you serious?"
I had this weird feeling that he was going to fumble at like the worst possible time because that's how it always goes. Like Gary Anderson missed his first field goal and the most crucial kick of the game, like for the Vikings in '98. Mm-hmm. That's how it always happens. I don't know why, but it always does.
I mean, the football gods just want chaos at the end of the day. That's all it is.
I was very shocked. I just can't believe we even made the playoffs. And I remember watching those predictions. I was like, there's a 10% chance that the Steelers are going to make the playoffs, 2% chance. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm done for the season. We did what we could. We weren't going there. And then it was like our misery wouldn't end. It just had to put us.
I mean, I'm just sitting there I was doing a stream at the time for charity because I'm like, oh, okay, it's probably going to be the last game of the year. Steelers, Ravens, they're all banged up, ugly football. And then you see the Colts just straight up collapse. I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna make the playoffs.
Oh god.
Yeah. And then they nearly tied. The Chargers and Raiders nearly tied. And then it would have been if they missed the field goal, it would have been like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, okay. Well, we didn't deserve to make it here anyway, so whatever.
No, we really didn't.
How do you guys specifically feel about Mitch Trubisky, just out of curiosity? Kind of glanced over that when I tried to bring him up earlier.
I think he's a sweet guy. I like that his newborn was born in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, don't remember
that.
I don't have. I always think that. I just think that
there's always a but.
Defense wins championship. I don't know if we really. I mean, he's great. It's just I don't know if he's the future. Well, I don't know if he's going to be.
Got Kenny.
So I'm trying to say it in a nice way. If we have a really great defense, which we do, I would argue best in the NFL, and we're so much better for our offensive line. I think really, really, we have good enough players. I don't really think our quarterback's going to make that big of a difference. We're so strong in our defense. I don't know. I always think defense wins championships, and I just think that we're good. We're good.
The thing with the defense.
But Mr. Trubisky seems like a nice guy.
Well, Trubisky, he's a stopgap quarterback. He's a one-year prove-it deal in case you find something. Hey, great, you have a quarterback. I mean, he got raw dogged in Chicago. He got screwed over. He shouldn't have been picked that high. He had way too high of expectations. He had no offensive line there. He had no receivers technically, except for Allen Robinson. Like there was
Matt Nagy
there.
syndrome.
Yeah, Nagy had just he ruined them. Like it's the same way they're ruining Fields. It's just the way
we're a better organization.
Well,
I think we have a strong organization.
To be fair, I think a random town show that performs in random countrysides could have a better run organization than the Chicago Bears did under Nagy. So, I mean, as I said, I think he's I think he's like a quality backup. But I think like there could be some untapped upside, but I don't think it's superstar potential. I think it's more like Ryan Tannehill, a guy who won't embarrass himself out there, but he's not going to lead you anywhere great.
Yeah.
And like he's there for the year. They're going to like ticket rest, maybe have Mason Rudolph. It's like insurance or trade him for like maybe a 15 pick.
A bag of chips.
Cut his ass.
Sandwich.
Cut him.
That dude's a bum.
I hate me.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think Mason Rudolph is as bad as everyone says he is. I mean, he was just as good as Brandon last year.
What? Dude, that Lions game did it for me. I'm sorry.
I mean, once again,
he's not
as bad. I mean, he's not. The gap between last year's Ben and Mason was not as far as everyone was saying it was. That's all I'm going to say.
I can see it. Honestly, I can see it.
Is that really a testament?
Cap on that one.
Is that really a testament to Rudolph being decent, or is that just showing how awful
Ben
was?
Yeah.
And people tend to forget our run defense was completely atrocious, especially in that Lions game. And that's why you beefed up the defensive line. I mean, you have Alualu coming back. I mean, it sucks about Stephon Tuitt, but I understand the situation.
Bring that up.
I mean,
that's so sad.
It is. I mean, it's a shame.
Yeah.
I hope he's
I
doing
feel bad
well.
for him. I really
that's
do.
why you got DeMarvin Leal. That's why you signed Larry Ogunjobi. Because
I love that Ogunjobi signing.
Excellent signing. He did well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially this late in free agency, that's probably the best.
He was supposed to be a Bear, but he failed his physical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
First day of free agency, we offered him like a 4-year, $30 million deal or something, and the idiot failed his physical. Not idiot. I can't call him an idiot. It's not his fault.
He just had an injury, and it's like the Bears are like, So he signs a 1-year prove-it deal. It's like, hey, we'll take him.
Yeah. That was a fantastic signing for Pittsburgh.
Good though. I agree with you. Yeah, we've been really doing well picking these players and trying to craft a better team. I've always grown up with having a really strong Steeler defense, and it's really great to see us going back to our roots. And I feel like Pittsburgh needs to deliver for the city. We're not one of those teams that likes to sit back and just lose all the time. So I'm really feeling positive, but it'll be good. It'll be a good season, I hope.
Yeah, they definitely.
I try to be optimistic. In the beginning, they
definitely did well in terms of free agency with beefing up their defense as well, bringing in Miles Jack, bringing in Levi Wallace, and you guys. What was that?
No, I was agreeing with you, man. Miles Jack.
I thought you said a name that I forgot. Yeah, I mean they did very well in free agency and the draft, building up their defense, and it's good. This team. Maybe there is a world where Pittsburgh surprises me. Like I said, I have them picked to go like third in their division, finish third in their division, right under 500. But like maybe there is a world where they find a way to throw it back to like 1982 with Najee Harris ground and pound 40 carries a game, because Lord knows he can handle it, and just really rely on their defense to shut teams down. I don't think it's likely, but sure, that would be a very Steeler way to approach the season.
Talking about the defense, I got a quick question for you guys. What's your opinion on Devin Bush? Because I have a very specific opinion, and I'm curious what other Steeler fans have to say about Devin Bush.
He's very frustrating. I don't know if he truly recovered from his ACL injury. Plus, at the same time, a lot of his issues weren't really with the ACL. It was instinctual, because my brother and I talked about this at the same time. There was a big running play against the Chargers in LA when it was near the goal line. I think Eckler ran for a touchdown. He didn't recognize the play until the guard was at the second level blocking him. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, I mean, is that like, that's why they had him give up the red dot to Schobert, and that's why I think Jack's here. Because this is a do or die year. They've given up his option. I think he has tremendous talent. You did trade up for him. He was a need. But he's been really disappointing.
Yeah.
I would say disappointing. Yeah. I would agree with you on that. I just don't know what is not clicking. I do agree with the ACL surgery, though, too. I don't know if he ever really recovered from that. And I don't know. I do know that when players face very severe injuries, it's hard for them to get back on the field and do what we ask them to do. But I don't know. I don't know if there's hope for him. And I agree with you. It is really a do or die year for him. I'm hoping the best. I hope it's going to be positive, but I don't really think it's going to work out in the long term. But that's just me. I think we have better players now, and I think it's time
last
to pass.
chance. It's his last chance. Yeah. Here, he'll probably get a contract elsewhere, but still.
Mike Tomlin did a interview that you guys might have seen, actually, where he just talked about where sometimes this doesn't have anything to do with you. It's just there are other players that it's their time and they're doing better, or, maybe with you, your time has passed. And it was a really good statement, I thought, of like where you are, where you fit in as a team. And I feel like he might have been talking about Devin Bush in that situation. Like, maybe your time is kind of passed. But yeah, again, do or die year. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll come back on in a year and we'll find out. But I want to know what your take is, though, what is your take on Devin Bush?
Oh, he was god awful last year, and I to put it lightly, I mean he was. If you watch his pre-injury tape, he showed the same things he did last year, except he had the athleticism to make up for the lack of knowledge. So he would recognize that a play is happening. Well, he can run fast and make his way over there, make the tackle. Nowadays, it's like he's lost a pretty large step and he just can't make it there. So now his faults are being like, I can't think of the word, but they've been more shown to me. And watching the defense last year, and watching the defense last year was just, oh god.
Yeah.
it was so bad, but you had to watch.
The whole year was just
the last piece of The Office.
It was a rough year, definitely.
I mean, like, the problem is, like, we're bitching about, like, a 9-win season. And the problem is, like,
Exactly.
it feel like any of the wins were, like, convincing. It was just, like, ugly win after ugly win after ugly win at fluke win after fluke win. I'm like, oh, my God.
It kept it interesting, though. I will say.
That's why I thought it was, like, such BS. It's like, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl just because.
But you're right. Like, we never have beautiful wins. It's always, like, these grueling, ugly, like, yeah, we won, but, like, at what cost? Like, I don't feel satisfied at the end of it, I don't feel like this is this great team that I'm so excited about. Like, we won, but did we? Like, what else did we lose in that? It just didn't ever feel satisfying to me. And it's never easy. You're always stressed. I've never had a Sunday where I'm just chilling. It's going to go great. Nope. We win by 30 points. We've never had that. It's always a battle every single Sunday. It's never been easy.
Just heart attack after heart attack, it's rough.
Heart attack, yeah.
Yeah, that's the beauty of football, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, it's worse with the Steelers, man. It's just, you turn off the TV after we lose, and it's just like...
I do that too.
It's time to do it again next week. It's what it is.
Oh, I get so frustrated watching these games too. If they're just doing something stupid, I'll shut the TV off, I'll walk away. And then a minute later, like a minute and a half later, I'll come back and turn it back on. It's like, I just need a break, pull myself together and come back. But they just get so frustrating. It just can be so frustrating.
Yeah, it's definitely fair. Another thing I want to talk about, kind of touched on some of the defensive draft picks they made. Looking at the offense, I know specifically Hunter is a big George Pickens guy. How do you guys as a whole feel about Pickens?
I thought he was a first-round guy.
I
was
absolutely.
I was shocked he made it to the middle of the second. I was shocked he made it past the Packers in the second round twice or whatever it was. I liked the fact that they addressed a need a lot, because you realize that they lost James Washington. They lost. I'll be honest with you. I can't even name who the fuck the receivers after that were
Juju?
that they lost. But
Juju, that's it.
As far as I'm concerned, Juju hasn't been on the team in like a year and a half. It feels like he's been so checked out. I know Juju slander, but he really pissed me off when all those expectations got set after his really productive season, and I just once he just kind of shit the bed and had like 2 touchdowns and 800 yards or whatever it was, I was like, oh god.
I mean,
Not
it
again.
sounded like Juju really wanted to stay, though. It sounded like he was like, I really want to be here. I really want to be here. The Steelers were like, oh, sorry. And my personal opinion on it.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and I also think wide receivers are a dime a dozen. Like, we got really lucky with George Pickens. That's great. But I kind of feel like you can just draft a really great wide receiver, like, every year. And they kind of
really good at
like, that's our special
round. They just turned into all pros. I mean, they turned into head case all pros, but they turned into all pros.
It was a great 9 years.
All pros, you heard it here first.
Yeah, that's kind of my only concern with Pickens is obviously he's got all the talent in the world. I absolutely agree that he was a first-round talent. You know, as a Bears fan, I was absolutely enamored with him. I wanted him to be our early second-round pick. And then when he started to slip in the second round, I started thinking to myself, okay, maybe these red flags, personality-wise, are a little more severe than I originally gave them credit for. Because at first I was like, yeah, the dude's intense. You know, he likes to mess up a corner on a run play, whatever. I'm not too worried about that. But when he starts sliding like that, you know, it's one of those things you really can't ignore. And I definitely feel like Pickens is either going to be out of the league in 3 games or he's going to be a perennial all-pro receiver, and I'm going to have to learn to live with Pittsburgh having another one.
I hope it's that option.
I'm really leaning towards the second one. I don't want another Jimmy Brown. Man, I don't want to live through that again.
I don't think it'll be quite as bad as Antonio Brown. I don't think you can be as bad as Antonio Brown.
And that's just the whole story in of itself. Mm-hmm. And strips off and just waves to the fans and runs back in the locker room.
Get him with the deuces.
Yeah. It's such a damn shame because he was such a talented and gifted player. And his legacy is going to be tainted by this last 2, 3, 4 years. Yeah. And it's just such a damn shame.
Antonio Brown was already slipping. Yeah, but it was already happening. Like, I used to live in Florida, and he lived in Hollywood, and there were all these rumors about him causing so much mayhem, and then throwing furniture off the balcony. I mean,
14
I don't know.
Balcony? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the NFL kept him around because he was still good, but then when he started messing around with his actual job, then it was like, whoa. We can't have this anymore.
The dude just away $30 million guaranteed right before it was set to be set in stone.
Right.
Yeah.
He's crazy, and I feel bad about it.
You should not feel bad about that. That dude's an asshole.
Look at the way he ran himself out of town.
I just mean, you gotta wonder, is this a CTE issue or is he just actually crazy?
I think he's just an asshole.
I think it's a little both. I mean, because once again, Ryan Clark said the same thing about him when he was young and in camp. Yeah. So I think maybe the exacerbated it, but at the same time, that chip on his shoulder and that arrogant personality was always there.
Yeah.
You got to wonder how Tomlin kept him in line for so long.
I think he didn't discipline him. I think that was
put him in the corner.
He always is like, look, we're going to put this off to the side. Mm-hmm. Just keep performing. You're good.
Yeah.
That's how they treated him with kitty gloves.
Yeah, and I used to have a big problem with Tomlin before I started to really appreciate how fantastic of a coach he is. Because growing up, you know, when Antonio Brown started to be Antonio Brown and – you know, not really knowing how Tomlin worked, I really was convinced that Tomlin just didn't know how to discipline players. And I thought,
oh, he's a players coach.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I really thought that Tomlin was just didn't give a shit about anything and was like a terrible motivator, a terrible coach. Like, I had all these crazy narratives built in my head just because of Antonio Brown aimed at Tomlin. That's not fair. Le'Veon Bell played into it a little bit too, but mainly Antonio Brown.
Le'Veon Bell that career went down.
He fucked himself. He straight up fucked himself.
He just wanted money and to be a rapper. That's all he wanted.
And now he's out here boxing Adrian Peterson.
Yep.
Yeah, not boxing, man.
I think that the Steelers are really blessed with Mike Tomlin, and I know that he gets a lot of shit from our fandom. But we are really lucky to have a coach that is talented to do it. I am pro Mike Tomlin. You can come for me. I don't care.
That's fine.
I think we're lucky to not have a losing season. I know there were some sketch seasons. Don't get me wrong here. Nobody's ever perfect. But I think he's a great coach, and he's really set the standard for the Steelers culture, and I'll always be grateful for that. So
I'm just worried he's past his expiration here. I think he's a good coach. I think he's still top 10 in the league.
Well, the Steelers, but we don't. We don't fire coaches.
They don't fire coaches. Like that's the thing. That's why Tomlin is ever getting fired.
Yeah, you're right.
He will never get fired. He has this job for as long as he wants.
So that was actually going to be one of my questions.
I kind of appreciate that though. To have the stable job and the legacy. I know it does. I know.
Look at the Steelers assistants. Like, I mean, like you promote from within, you don't get quality assistants, and like they don't spend as much on assistants. And, I mean, that has its ups and downs. Like Keith Butler was a linebacker guru. He just didn't know how to manage other positions, and that kind of showed its flaws over time.
But we did bring in Brian Flores, which I think is a really good.
I love that move.
That was a great move. And I don't know if you heard about this too, but Mike Tomlin even said, I walked down to Dan Rooney's office or whatever and said, hey, can we hire Brian Flores? And they're like, yeah, sure. And that was it. That was the conversation. It wasn't like, oh, let's talk about this. Let's draft a statement. Let's figure out what we want to do. It was like, I want to do this. Okay, that's great. And they made the move. And that's just wonderful.
I love Brian Flores in Miami, so I'm cool with it.
You know, I thought he was great. I really
do. He's a hell of a coach.
Yeah, and I mean, he should have gotten a better. I mean, I know that there wasn't really a higher seniority position for him in the Steelers, but I hope he stays around for a while, and I really look forward to seeing what he helps us out with this year.
The fact he's just like a second-tier assistant is just crazy to me because this is a guy who should be a head coach right now. Like, there is no reason this guy should not be a fucking head coach. Like, you're telling me that Lovie Smith is a better head coach than Brian Flores?
Well, you have to remember there was a lot of drama that happened in Miami. Because they wanted him to tank, and like
they did.
Mean, you saw the Dolphins in 2018. You knew they were desperately trying to tank, and Brian Flores kind of messed that up. And I think Stephen Ross resented him for it. And once he had the excuse to fire him, it's like, get out.
Yeah.
Well, they also
because like I'm just sitting there like when they fired him, like, wait, what?
I was shocked when I saw that.
Building it, and then like comes out, it's like, oh, okay, he's pissed off, he's resentful.
Wasn't he like the first coach fired too? In this
one
last
of them,
Black Monday? I think he was the first one.
I know, like if you're counting like overall, I think Urban Meyer was the first. Oh, Gruden.
Oh, Gruden
like, I think he was like one of the top ones. Yeah. Urban was like the first one that was fired, I think.
Oh God, Urban Meyer.
Oh dear Lord. All right, another thing that Pittsburgh addressed this offseason, at least through free agency, was the offensive line. How do you guys feel about that?
Whole lot better than I did last year.
Great depth, no stars.
A little bit better. A little bit.
I mean, Bears fans love James Daniels because I'm asking, like, okay, how is this guy? Because the Bears like line was suspect, like he was like their top player. Yeah. Mason Cole at center is going to be the question mark because he's more of a center guard hybrid, kind of like how
Kendrick Green was.
Yeah, Kendrick Green. I'm thinking of that, but once again, like last year's show, Kendrick Green is not a starting center; he's a guard, and if they convert him there, I think he does better. How does Kevin Dotson fit in? Does he still did they still like him as a left guard? There were a lot of questions regarding him. Does Dan Moore take that next step to be a blindside blocker? He kind of held his own in spots, but others he felt overmatched. Chuks Okorafor is back, but like he's your best lineman right now. I don't know if I'm that confident if Chuks Okorafor is my best lineman, but is it better than last year? I believe so. Trey Turner wasn't good. Like they had a lot of issues at guard, especially in that game against Minnesota, but like you need it to be better for Najee Harris because a lot of those runs Najee was running, like it was just him like muscling for an extra 2 or 3 yards because the line in front of him was terrible. That's why I didn't want to fit. So
I think my biggest thing too. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's fine. I was just gonna say, adding on to that point, you never really want to be in a position where Najee Harris has to consistently fight and to make it through. Then you know how his signature thing is doing all these turns and twists, and then all of a sudden his ankle's fucked up because he got sorry.
No, you're fine.
All of a sudden his ankle is twisted and something. and something happened to him. So I mean, I agree with you.
All I remember is that first Bengals game is Ben Roethlisberger on like a 4th and 10 throwing a screen to Najee, and he has to like juke at least 5 times to get a yard.
And he jumps and stuff. It makes me nervous. I mean, I know you can do it. I know you can do it, but like, this is the big league now. This isn't Alabama anymore. Like, don't hurt yourself. Like, we need you. Like, we literally last season, like, we crafted our entire offensive line strategy on him. Like, it was built for him. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
think the coolest thing with the O-line is, like, if you look back, 4 years ago, you guys, Castro, Villanueva, veterans.
Villanueva sucks. He was never good.
Definitely.
He was never, ever good.
He had his years, but
he had a year and a half.
Pouncey, DeCastro, and now if you look, they're all, 25, 26, much younger. And I think they have potential like crazy.
Yeah. As a Bears fan, No, go ahead.
All I was going to say was I think it's all the moves were great depth, no stars. That's pretty simple breakdown of that.
Yeah.
A pessimist.
Fair enough.
I was going to say,
sometimes you don't need stars. Like, stars in free agency rarely pan out.
Yeah.
Yeah, an offensive line at the end of the day is the sum of its parts. If you can put together a solid line with a bunch of guys that maybe they're not necessarily standouts, but they do their job correctly, you're fine. You can get away with that. You don't need you don't need big flashy names. And I think that's kind of like, I was going to say, as a Bears fan, that's the definition of what I think James Daniels is he's not a superstar, and I don't think he's ever going to be like a top guard in the league, but he does his job. At the end of the day, he does his job. And
that's all you need.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what Pittsburgh needed, especially. You just need a guy that's going to do his job. And I think they did do a good job of addressing that, but I do have some concerns with the offensive line still. But it's good enough to just be like, fuck it, Najee, run it 30 times a game, kind of like I said earlier. But even then, I said earlier,
especially because we had a non-existent run game.
Yeah.
So to having an existent one, that's still positive.
Would we consider it non-consistent? Najee had he had over 1,000 yards last year, right?
No, right.
He was like 1,200.
But what I'm saying is, seasons before that we did it, and then we had Najee Harris, and then now we actually created a run game for us, and that was a huge struggle for us too.
Okay,
I think I just heard James Conner slander. I don't stand for that.
That's the thing. I don't. Conner wasn't the issue. The issue was the bad run line.
Exactly.
He's popping off in Arizona.
Yeah, he's shown he's capable
over there.
I love it too. I love it.
Yeah,
I loved him at Pitt. I love the story.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say. I've hated the Steelers for as long as I can remember, but James Conner's always one of those guys you got to root for, and I'm glad he's popping off more than he is in Pittsburgh. If I'm being totally honest. Sticking with the offense, outside of Pickens, who we already talked about a little bit, you've got Claypool, you've got Johnson. He's holding out right now, right? Is he still on that?
Yeah.
It's iffy.
I haven't heard any updates.
Yeah, I haven't either.
He showed up to OTAs, not the first week, the second week he showed up. I haven't heard anything recently. I heard, actually, we didn't even offer a contract yet.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah, we haven't even offered him a thing.
Because I know we just signed Fitzpatrick, and so I figured, okay, so we just did this. We just did Minka, so then maybe the next step is so they're doing one contract at a time?
There's a story 20 days ago that is saying that Deontay Johnson's not worried about his contract situation.
Oh, okay. So he's the one receiver from that class that isn't. Well, I mean,
pretty much.
Yeah, good for Pittsburgh. Johnson, he's somebody that, kind of burst onto the scene last year as somebody I think you can consider a top 10, 15 receiver. I like Deontay Johnson a lot. I think.
I wrote him off a couple years ago, but he proved me wrong, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
What's the number you're comfortable paying him per year?
That's a question.
The problem is
Not
you're going to have to pay
much.
over 20. You're going to have to pay over 20, especially with the market right now.
Exactly.
And what he wants, how he performs. You can thank Jacksonville paying $18 million for
Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
And let's be quite frank, Deontay Johnson is better than Christian Kirk. So you're going to be paying more than $18 million. It's going to be 20.
Yeah.
Careful, you don't want to give that hot of a take.
I mean, that's a scorcher. I mean, let's not.
Yeah,
I did a come for you, man.
I'm sweating.
The Jacksonville Jaguars did more for labor payment than any other professional football team has done in the last 20 years.
It's
how they paid everybody.
Insane.
Yeah.
But they made Evan Ingram like a top 5 tight end.
Yeah, like $10 million.
Oh my god!
Foye got $15 million a year. Zayden got like $8 to $9 million a year. Like that's the reason why Tyreek Hill's not in Kansas City, AJ Brown's not in Tennessee, why Cooper Kupp got paid, why Devontae Adams got paid big bucks, refused the franchise tag. Like, that's why you had that whole wide receiver shuffle.
Yeah.
Because of Jacksonville.
Yeah, Jacksonville completely fucked the market. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm surprised Johnson isn't worried about his contract. You know, like I said, he's pretty much the only one that isn't. And I would figure...
I think he has one more year left on his deal, and then he gets paid.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. But I'm
I think you got to...
Yeah, he's, I think, a fourth-year player, and if you're not a first-round pick, it's a 4-year deal.
Yeah, okay. True. I don't know. I just figure
if you look at...
Oh, go ahead.
If you look at how the organization has been taking care of every other player, I mean... You got. I wouldn't be worried if I was a player. I know the receiver market's booming, and especially you want to take over. You want to take advantage of that market. But if you're in such a good organization like Pittsburgh, and they're taking care of their players, such as Minka, such as TJ, like you gotta think they're gonna take care of you, and they'll get you yours.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, and we tend to do that. I just don't want to overpay. Because it always bites you in the long run.
You're always going to overpay in the NFL. That's just how it works at this point.
Not always. I mean, sometimes you have quarterbacks who just take these absolutely absurd quarterback deals. Like, I think Drew Brees did
Aaron
that.
Rodgers.
Yeah,
but you're not going to do that for your first paycheck. That's going to be like, down the road, you've made most of your money. You're just trying to get the last little bit out of your career you can to go get accolades, go get a ring, boost your numbers, that kind of thing. You're not going to do that with your first contract after your rookie deal.
No, not at all. I think too, like they have agents to represent them, and they're going to get them as much as they can.
Mm-hmm.
So if like the market dictates that Deontay Johnson is going to be paid $20 to $25 million a year, maybe 2 or 3 years guaranteed, that's what he's going to be paid. If it's from the Steelers or somebody else, we don't know, but somebody's going to pay it.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I don't think it would necessarily be the worst thing in the world for Pittsburgh if they weren't able to retain him. Because like I said, I have a lot of faith in Pickens. So if it comes down to, I don't know, having to pay Deontay something that you're just flat out not willing to pay him given the circumstances, and trading him for like, I don't know, draft. I don't know what his value would necessarily be. But if it comes down to that, I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world for Pittsburgh. I think they could live with that if, like I said, if they had no other option.
Hey, at the end of the day, we got top 3 wide receiver Claypool.
I was just getting ready to bring that up. I was going to ask you guys how you felt about that.
I had to. I knew it was coming.
He's probably top 3 on the roster.
He's wide receiver 2 at best.
Tree, how do you
think
feel
he needs
about
to
that?
hold himself a little bit.
Well,
that's just me personally, but we'll see. Humility would do the kid well.
Yeah. To be completely honest with you, if you count Mark Andrews as a receiver, I wouldn't count him as a top 3 receiver in the AFC.
No, definitely not.
I agree 100%.
I mean, even if you're sticking with wide receivers.
Deontay, Jamar Chase,
T. Higgins.
T. Higgins, you can count T. Higgins as that too.
I might even take
Tyler
Boyd.
Boyd.
Not
Tyler Boyd over Chase.
It depends how do you feel about Donovan Peoples-Jones?
We're getting a little on the fringe there.
Fair. It depends how you feel about his other.
But if
you're not putting Rashad Bateman in that category.
Right.
Not yet. I'm a big Bateman fan though.
I am too.
As much as I hate the Ravens, I like Bateman as a talent.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put Hollywood Brown above him, but Hollywood Brown's gone. So
yeah, Hollywood
Good Lord,
Brown
wouldn't
sucks.
overpay.
Yeah,
he had hands issues.
How the fuck did he fetch a first-round pick?
Because Arizona got desperate for a wideout to appease Kyler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Desperation does the worst to people. You don't got to tell me that.
Yeah,
it definitely does.
I don't have too big of an issue with Claypool saying that. Not because I agree with him. I think that's conceptually it's insane, but I respect it. You know, if you don't think you're the best at your craft, if you don't think you're one of the best doing something, why would you be doing it? So I think it's okay for him to say that. I understand why he said it. And I think that quote was taken a little bit out of context, right? He said he has the potential to be, or he has like top 3 potential. He didn't say he is top 3 right now. So even then, I think that makes it even better. I don't think it was a crazy thing for him to say. But like,
I mean, does he have to say it out loud?
Yeah, he's showing confidence. I mean, they just drafted another receiver. You gotta show you're the man. You know, you're like the man. You think you're the man. You have the confidence to be that second option at the very least for Pittsburgh. And you know, Pickens very well has the opportunity to overtake him within the first couple weeks. So if you're, you know, putting it out there, kind of manifesting it, so to speak, that you're that guy, and you think, you know, you can be that guy for Pittsburgh long term, why not? And again, he said he had like the upside of it. He didn't say that he actually, I think, right? Wasn't it an upside quote?
No, I think he said he was top 3.
Oh, fuck. Never mind.
Yeah, he said.
I mean, maybe in terms of talent, I could see it, but not in terms of overall production.
I'm sure that's what he was hinting at then, was talent. Because if he was talking top 3 in production, I mean, it's factually incorrect. Confidence is one thing, but just spewing false statements is another, you know?
I mean, you can see it out of Chase Claypool. He has a history of that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Clearly.
We got the famous the point in the Minnesota game.
Yep. The point flipping out on the Browns fan after that loss. Remember that?
It's just something about them Pittsburgh wide receivers, man.
I mean, I that's what I feel like. It's like there's something in the water that turns every famous player we have into irreparable cancer. I do not understand it.
Except TJ. TJ's the exception.
I don't know. Maybe TJ will see.
I'm worried about TJ, man.
Devin Bush had that outburst on social media last summer.
Really? I missed that completely. What did he do?
Oh, like he was just like he went off the rails. Like he showed a picture.
Yeah, he went nuts. What was that? Back in like September or something?
Yeah, it was like July, I think.
Yeah, a little bit earlier than I thought. But
well, that's something for sure.
Yeah.
Why is it that Pittsburgh's most mid players have to be so fucking crazy?
Because I guess it's something in the water. I don't
know.
Maybe it's residue from the old steel mills. I don't know.
The brown water that flows through Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's the Allegheny, so it's probably the Allegheny or the Monongahela. Maybe something in the Youghiogheny is probably doing it, or the Mon Valley, or I don't know, whatever.
Well,
Another player that I'm a big fan of on your offense is Pat Freiermuth. Obviously, I think he has sky-high upside. If he's not already a top 10 tight end, he will be very, very soon. Anyone want to talk about Freiermuth for a minute?
The new Heath Miller, right? Isn't that what people are calling him?
Muth, yeah.
I think he had a really productive rookie season, but I also kind of think, you know, how much of that is talent versus being targeted insanely.
I think it was Ben's safety valve. They picked him for Ben. I wanted Creed Humphrey or Quinn Meinerz there. I mean, Creed Humphrey would look really good on that offensive line.
Yeah.
Nothing against Freiermuth. I think he's a solid player, but
we wouldn't be asking questions about Mason Cole right now versus Creed Humphrey.
Yeah.
Well, on the bright side, Mitch Trubisky likes his tight ends, so maybe he'll still get that production this year, depending on how long
I thought he
plays.
loved kissing titties.
Listen, he's a man of many passions. He's a man of many passions. Kissing titties and tight ends, those are the top 2.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, his first career touchdown was to a tight end. Threw that to Zach Miller against the Vikings on Sunday or Monday Night Football. I can't remember which one. But, yeah, maybe he'll still get that kind of production depending on how long Mitch plays. Now, I know I keep wanting to bring it back to Mitch just because he's my guy. Celia, I know you said you don't think he's... Yeah, I am. But I know you said you don't think he'll start the full year. Do you guys agree with that? Or
I say they're going to play it by ear. I think you obviously start in week 1. Otherwise, you want to go and pay him. Mm-hmm. They paid him small, but they paid him enough for him to be a week 1 starter. If it's week 3 and he's doing well, you know, we're 2-1, 3-0, you keep him in. If we're 1-2, you give the rookie a chance.
Yep.
I honestly think.
I think I will be happy as long as Mason Rudolph does not touch the field.
Amen.
Yeah.
Get rid of him. Punch him. He can watch it from home. He doesn't even need to dress. We don't want him there.
But what happens if both your quarterbacks get hurt? Knock on wood, God forbid.
Stop it.
Chris Oladokun.
Then I will fly to Pittsburgh and I will start because I could do it better than Mason Rudolph could. I wouldn't hit anybody and I wouldn't say any bad shit to anybody.
What kind of shape is Terry Bradshaw in these days?
Yeah,
Terry Bradshaw. That dude's having trouble reading from a teleprompter on Fox. I don't know how well he do there. I'm trying to think, what's Cordell Stewart doing?
Cordell Stewart.
I mean, that dude overthrew everything in sight, but you know what? I mean, he had talent.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, I like Mason Rudolph. I mean, as I said, I think this is probably his last chance, and then he's probably getting traded in the backup shuffle.
Chance already.
He's going to practice squad for the Giants.
Yeah, I don't.
He might outshine Daniel Jones there.
But maybe
he's
not a starting quarterback. He's not a second-string quarterback. I don't even know if he's a third-string. I just don't think he's good. I just don't think he's.
He wasn't the same after that concussion in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's good enough.
All I know is I miss Duck.
He retired, right?
Isn't
he did
in the XFL or something now? I feel like
he went up to the Canadian Football League or something for a week, and then he just retired 2 months ago.
Duck, yeah.
He's
doing a duck calling podcast or something. Last I checked.
That's clever. I mean,
that. Hey, he got paid a couple mil to play football, so.
Hey, we could call him. We'll call him over.
Exactly.
We'll call him up.
The
Yeah.
savior of Pittsburgh.
That Chargers game. Hey, he squeaked out some wins.
Just hand the ball to Najee. That's all we need.
just give it to Najee.
I don't know about you guys, but I knew even way before the draft, the 20th pick was always going to be a quarterback. I knew it because it was Kevin Colbert's last draft. He was going to find the guy of the future. It was going to be in the first round. It was going to be Willis or Pickett. I just really wish that wasn't the case because there were so many more talented players, especially on defense. And I think they addressed a lot of the needs as far as the offensive side of the ball in free agency, with, getting Mitch Trubisky. Granted, he's a bridge quarterback and he's not anything special. You got all those offensive line depth pieces. But you got to think, at the 20th pick, there was Kyer Elam, there was Trent McDuffie, there was two corners that the Steelers kind of desperately need right now. I feel like Mitch Trubisky would have been able to get the job done for this year in order to make it to next year. But the other thing is it kind of takes them out of the pot for those quarterbacks that could potentially be traded, like Kyler Murray, and not like Lamar would be traded in division, but it just takes them out of that conversation now. What do you think about that?
Maybe not necessarily. When it comes to the quarterback trading, maybe I don't know. I don't think Kyler gets traded this offseason or this season, but in the offseason,
no.
Maybe the Cardinals are
season.
Maybe the Cardinals are listen, we're looking for a quarterback in return, and they I don't think they would, but maybe there's a world where they want Kenny Pickett and multiple first-round picks for him, and you can still pull off something like that. I wouldn't say that's necessarily out of the cards for Pittsburgh, but I wouldn't think it would be too likely either way.
Yeah,
I don't know. I was just going to say, I feel like this is definitely a Pittsburgh choice. I agree with you. I kind of knew we were going to do a quarterback first round, just the choice on who it was going to be. But I did think it was going to be Kenny Pickett. Once he had that Pittsburgh connection, it was kind of that kind of sealed the deal.
I was cool with either him or Malik Willis.
Yeah.
No, I kind of felt with that Pittsburgh connection, that was it. And the Steelers also, they like to craft and shape too. They like to take.
I mean, they did see a lot of Kenny Pickett at Pick as they share practice facilities.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't think they wouldn't have done their homework because I feel like, once we got close to the draft, it was very evident that teams were not going to take quarterbacks in the first round. So it's pretty much they knew that they were going to have their choice.
Yeah. I know everyone's saying, "Oh, you could have had Pickett in the second round." You can't predict that, and who knows? Somebody snags up.
I feel like somebody would have traded out for him if he fell past us. Honestly,
yeah.
Pickett's the only quarterback out of that
I think
class.
the greatest thing.
You go ahead.
I think the greatest thing was obviously Malik Willis falling. And when he was falling out the second, everybody was like, you know what? Maybe Pittsburgh was onto something.
That was crazy. I can't believe how far he fell. And that was how late it was. Wasn't it like third round? I can't remember.
Third round.
I think it was 16 or 6.
Yeah.
Fell out of smack around.
It was a long.
Yeah, Sam Howell fell to the 5th round. They were looking at him as a potential number 1 pick a year.
First round, yeah.
Yeah, this quarterback class really just fell off a cliff value-wise. But what was it?
Besides Kenny Pickett.
Oh,
no,
yeah. I mean,
there wasn't really that much of an incredible talent, I'll say.
Yeah. And when it comes to Kenny Pickett, I really don't think he would have been available in the second round. He's the only one of those quarterbacks I think would have any sort of chance or ability to be a week 1 starter. So somebody that's desperate at quarterback would have taken him before the second round. And, maybe we're looking at Kenny Pickett as a Detroit Lion if Pittsburgh doesn't take him at 20. Or no, I'm sorry, they traded up. That was a stupid statement. We're looking at him somewhere else. He's somewhere else.
Like Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina would be.
I thought for sure number 6. I was like, he's going way too early to Carolina.
I was mocking him to Carolina for months.
Yeah,
I really thought he'd be a Panther, and I really thought Pittsburgh.
Every draft expert was mocking that.
Yeah, and I really thought Pittsburgh would end up with Willis at 20. I thought that was like a huge steal for them, and then kind of like Hunter said, once Pittsburgh passed on him and he started falling, I was like, okay, maybe I'm banking too hard on the trades here and expecting Malik Willis to really be something. Because, like I said, I don't think any of the quarterbacks in this class are necessarily guarantees, which goes for any quarterback class really, but especially this year. There's definitely talent. There's definitely traits with a lot of them that you look at and you love, but it's quarterbacks in a kind of run of the mill draft class. There wasn't super great overall this year.
Ryan Tannehill was kind of a dick to Malik Willis. Like, you got to think, being Malik Willis's shoes is like, you fell in the draft, you're a projected first-round pick, and you fall all the way to the middle of the 3rd round, and now you've got this guy saying, it's not my job to mentor you.
Well, see, I don't have a problem with that personally, because it's not his job. He's there to win football games. He's a starting quarterback.
No, I'm saying it more so as a perspective, like, I agree. I don't think it's the wrong thing to say. I'm saying it more so on the side of, like, that man just went through like an emotional roller coaster of falling through the draft. It's a shitty time to be that guy.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I thought he was going somewhere else, and his dreams crushed a little bit, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, people were talking about him as a top 5 pick. He ended up on the fucking Titans. I'm sure his dreams were crushed.
You text Tannehill's like, I can't wait to be teammates, man, and he sees
Go
that
fuck
interview.
yourself. That's Tannehill's text back. Go fuck yourself. All right,
Tannehill doesn't cuss. It'd be go frick yourself.
Of course. Apologies. I forgot Tannehill is a bit purer than I. Now, I got to ask as well, one position that I'm absolutely enamored with, anyone who knows me knows, I love fullbacks. Fullbacks are my favorite position in football. And obviously, you guys have the best Watt brother and Derek at fullback. And you also drafted Connor Hayward, who has that kind of H-back vibe going where he can play fullback, he can play tight end, he can play a different role. But Pittsburgh doesn't use Derek on offense too much. He's primarily a special teamer, if I'm not mistaken. And I just want to say that's a sin by Pittsburgh. I don't have anything else to add there if you guys want to chime in and talk about Watt, but I think it's a sin.
I actually think that has something to do with Roethlisberger in that he just did not play under center very much.
That's fair.
And it's hard to run a fullback when you don't play under center.
That's fair.
And obviously, Roethlisberger also wasn't a pistol quarterback, and that's the other formations you'd really use at fullback. So I think that with Pickett or Trubisky, I think you're actually going to see a lot more Derek Watt this season because there's going to be a lot more under center work being done.
I agree. Anything to...
That'd be nice.
Especially if you shift to an extremely run-heavy offense, having a fullback in the backfield is so beneficial, especially when you have a guy like Najee Harris, who's very much a power runner, who you can, run off tackle, run up the middle, whatever. Having a lead blocker for him out of the backfield, we see that in Baltimore with Pat Ricard, and we see that in San Fran with Juszczyk, although he does a little bit more than your average fullback. It's definitely... I would say likely that Pittsburgh's going to use Watt more this year, and maybe I don't know. Maybe they don't use Watt. Maybe they go with Hayward. I didn't watch any of his college films, so I don't really know what he's all about. Does anyone have an opinion on Hayward?
The Steelers, others.
Yeah.
When Pitt played MSU in the bowl game this year, that's how I was introduced to Hayward, and he single-handedly whooped Pitt, and it was rough.
Really?
Yeah, it was. I was like, who is this kid? I was like, wait, Hayward. I was like, Cam Hayward has a brother? He's like 33. And I searched it up, and I was like, okay, yeah, cool.
Connor Hayward.
And, he got more hype, and when we drafted him, I was ecstatic because obviously I knew what he's capable of.
Right. Interesting.
And Cam Hayward is such a player too, so if he's anything like his brother, it'll be a successful time for the Steelers.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I do know Connor has a little bit of that versatility where you could play him as like an H-back or a tight end. So, maybe he is the one that gets more playing time than Derek, because Derek's kind of just a traditional straight-up fullback. Unless I'm mistaken, but I don't think I am with that. So, maybe there is hope for Pittsburgh after all. I think if they use a fullback, that changes my prediction from them from going, third in the division to instant Super Bowl champs, unfortunately.
Instant Super Bowl.
It's just
Derek
good karma.
Watt for MVP.
It's just good karma. Yeah, Derek Watt for MVP. I would love every second. The only Pittsburgh player I would be okay with winning MVP would be no, that's not true. Mitch would make me happy too. Mitch or Derek Watt.
Would you really not hate us if that happened?
Yeah.
Would you change your mind on not liking the Steelers?
Yeah, listen, I made a TikTok, a couple weeks ago. If Pittsburgh uses Derek Watt the way he should be used this season, I'll drop all charges, so to speak. Yeah, we can rebuild bridges.
George Watson had that luck.
Oh my God.
I had to throw it in there.
Yeah, I get it. Well, are there any players we didn't touch on that any of you want to bring light to? Anything like that?
I want to reiterate, fuck Devin Bush.
Yeah.
Final comment.
Is there any players on the Steelers you just so wish they weren't right now?
Terrell Edmonds. He's so mid.
Play recognition.
He's so mid.
Well, the problem is they wanted to sign the Honey Badger, but they.
Yeah, I think he wanted too much money. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's worth it, but.
Yeah, I mean,
especially with extending me.
Well, how much money can you really put in the defense? If I remember correctly, the Steelers have like the #1 payroll for defense, but like the 32nd for offense.
Yeah,
the highest paid defense and the lowest offense.
Yeah, at one point,
it's interesting.
At one point, Derek Watt was like the highest guaranteed per year or something on Pittsburgh's offense. Which, again, I love that.
Until they signed Kenny Pickett, I think.
Yeah.
I think Kenny Pickett overtook that. But yeah, it was Derek Watt for most of the offseason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which, again, love that. Fantastic.
Well worth it.
Absolutely well worth it.
Just got to use them more, man. Just got to use them more.
I also think Presley Harvin is like one of my favorite players in the league
right now. Thank God. Yes. I'm here for it.
Is he any good? I didn't watch him last year.
Everybody can appreciate it. Oh, he's not very good, but everyone
I love him for his nickname, Hefty Harvin, dude. I mean, he came out of Georgia Tech. Obviously, I'm not supposed to like that ACC, but I think the kid's a stud. Obviously, first-year punter. You're not going to get, the right guy, but...
Fair enough.
I'm hyped for him.
Fair enough. Well...
Also, Cameron Sutton frustrates me, but it's okay.
Yeah, we need a cornerback.
I mean, I don't know if Levi Wallace is a #1.
Well, I've seen a lot of Steelers fans be extremely high on Witherspoon, saying he's like their CB1 of the future.
He had a good season last year.
He definitely be
maybe a nickel or a dime, but not.
Fair.
I don't know about #1.
Fair. Like I said, I will be 100% honest. I did not watch much Steelers football last year, so there's some guys that I just don't know how to evaluate. I don't know what they're capable of. But like I said, a lot of Steelers fans, from what I've seen, really, really like Witherspoon. And I've almost seen some, or not almost, I have seen some people, people bringing up how they passed on corners at 20, how they wanted Elam or Booth or whoever, and it just turning into a Witherspoon suckfest, for lack of better words. So, like I said, I don't know, but
Witherspoon had a good season last season. You can make an argument he was the best defensive back last season. That's including Minka for the Steelers. But it's a bold take. But if you watch the tapes, Minka had a bit of an off year last year. His PFF grade is kind of a lie. And by kind of, I mean a big old fat one. But Ahkello Witherspoon played well. Is he CB1? I mean, the depth chart says it. So,
in defense,
sure.
I mean, is there much competition besides Minka? Like, we don't have a very good secondary.
Yeah. And I was really hoping they'd do some more to address that, but I mean, the talent pool for corners specifically in free agency was not very, very large.
Yeah. Did you draft a corner at all? Even like later on?
We did not. We got a couple undrafted free agents, but other than that, no.
Interesting.
Which I was surprised.
Yeah, corner is very much a glaring weakness for Pittsburgh currently, so I'm also surprised they didn't target that as well. But unless you guys have anything else you want to add, Celia is completely gone on my screen. I don't know about you guys, but I think that about does it.
I think she's still there for me.
Okay, well,
she's still there.
My beautiful garbage Chromebook is just being my beautiful garbage Chromebook as it tends to be. Yeah. But, like I said, unless there's anything else you guys want to add, I think that about wraps it up.
No, I think we're good, man.
Yeah,
all right.
I think we're all right.
I appreciate you guys coming on. It was an absolute blast. As much as I hate Pittsburgh, it's just always good to talk football. You know, it's always great to talk football. So that's going to do it for this Pittsburgh Steelers team preview. I hope you all enjoyed. And I don't know what the next one's going to be. It'll be another AFC North team. So stay tuned, I suppose.